Peace, everybody. Welcome to Get Buckets with Coach Gus Gauntlett and friends. This is episode 6. We are blessed with an awesome guest today, our first guest from the college ranks. This is Kevin Pham, head men's coach at UC Merced. He is entering his 6th season as the men's coach at UC Merced after having 3 years with the women's team at UC Merced and actually beginning that program up at Merced. Kevin, thank you so much for being here today. How are you, brother?
I'm doing very well, Gus. I appreciate you spending time doing this podcast. I think it's important for us to give back to the game, and I'm blessed to be here. Appreciate that.
No doubt, no doubt. I'm really excited to experience your play and learn from you, and I'm thankful to you for sharing your knowledge with all of our audience and for everything you do for the players at UC Merced.
Absolutely. Yeah, so pretty much what we try to do is we run a lot of after timeout plays, and we spend a lot of time in practice working on the timing of it. And then the play that I want to share with you and your viewers is what we call hammer comeback. So this is out of a timeout play. We're playing at home here against University of Antelope Valley. They're really good in our league. They've actually been number 1 in our league the last couple of years. We're right behind them, number 2. And with this big conference game in 2017-18, we're at home down by 3 with about 7 minutes left in the game. We were up the whole entire game, and the momentum kind of shifted. So we call a timeout and see if we can drop a 3-point play for one of our best shooters on the team, Jonah Cottrell, who's number 20. We have Andrew Williams here taking the ball out. The idea of this set is to create a misdirection and overload the defense and throw a pass, what we call a kickback pass, back to the side of the ball. So as I kind of go through the play, I'll speak on the details of it. So here we have a box set, right? Where it's a sideline out of bounds play. Our first initial setup is a cross screen from Jonah Cottrell. This cross screen right here is pretty much a dummy screen. It allows us to try to create help with the defender. And once we get the defender leaning one way, we will shoot up the gap here. We use that little elevator screen here, but we kind of ignore that in this situation. But the idea is if we can get a post up early, we're looking for that, but that's not our primary option. It's more of a decoy because we really want the ball to get inbounded right about this area right there where Jonah catches the ball. Once the ball gets inbounded, okay, we run what we call an Iverson cut. Okay, this Iverson cut, you see the Philadelphia 76ers runs it all the time for Allen Iverson back in the 2000s, just creating an isolation play. Our objective here when we run this cut is to just create an illusion that we want to get the ball to the side and maybe a potential drive off the Iverson cut. But once the ball gets to the wing, we're looking to set a on-ball screen. And the reason why we ran this play in this particular situation is because this is the second time we played University of Antelope Valley, and we ran an ATO against them at their place, same setup, and we actually drove a baseline and hit a weak side corner 3 off this back screen right here. But so in this situation, we try to set up the same way, and we actually kind of create another misdirection where we actually throw it back to our best shooter, Jonah Cottrell, right here. So here's the setup, right? We ran an Iverson cut, and we want to show that we're going to be set up a side pick and roll here with our center. So if I play it through, here's a side pick and roll, and our objective here is to reject the ball screen. Okay. Here's how we know that they knew what was coming. We yell out ball screen. We teach our guy to yell out screen's coming so that he hears the ball screen's coming. And we teach our guys as soon as his eyes looks for the screen, we're going to reject it to score. Okay. So, but again, Antelope Valley is a really good defensive team. They rally to the basketball in every penetration. So if you take a look at the defender, his bottom foot is towards the sideline, towards the baseline. So he knew it was coming, right? So it's great coaching on their end. And so when we try to set this ball screen here, what we're really looking for here is a overload on the defensive side. And if we can get all the defenders' eyes to be pointing to the ball and rally to the basketball, then we have the perfect setup, okay? So this baseline drive here, a couple things can happen. We are looking for that the flare screen here for a weak side corner 3. As you can see, Derek here is screening nobody. It's because they overload to the help, which is perfect for us, right? And usually on the baseline drive, how do teams cover baseline drive? They usually rotate the bottom guy out, and they do what they call cover down. Cover down is basically whoever's at the top sinks down to the below the rim and kind of take that drift pass to the corner. So we knew, so that's how we teach it sometimes. And we know how to attack that. So we kind of try to exploit that in this situation. So the baseline option, drive it baseline, and you look for this corner three. If Derek sets a screen here and they overplay it, we will slip it to the rim. So your first option is drive to score. Second option is to hit the drift pass for a three. Third option is if they switch it, he'll slip to the rim to score. Fourth option is to throw it back to the 5-man at the top, and he'll skip it to the corner for a three. But again, that is exactly what we ran with the first time we played these guys. Now, what we try to do this time around is have the same setup and have that same baseline drive. But this time, as he drives, we're going to get an overload on the defense, and we're going to get this rotation down, and we're going to pin it back on the backside. So as you watch Ryan right here, he's going to do a front pivot, and then he's going to throw it right back to Jonah for a three.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so let's do that in full motion, full replay again. Here's that cross screen, perfect setup. Right, we got the ball where we want it to be. Iverson cover the top. Okay, we yell side pick and roll, reject the ball screen, drive it baseline, and we do what we call a comeback play. There it is. So it's a misdirection play, pretty much. The most important thing is the timing of it. So we work a lot in practice on our ATOs, and this is one of them. So the timing of it is very crucial. What we want Ryan to do with the guy with the basketball is to penetrate towards the baseline and to draw help. That's the key. If he can't draw help and he gets stopped short here, that comeback option might not be as easy as it seems. But if he can get down to the painted area or near the baseline, then again, Antelope Valley is a really good defensive team, so they like to rally to the basketball hard. And so we knew that based on our scouting report. And if we can get Ryan to penetrate hard, and look how deep he gets to the level of the baseline. That's exactly what we want, right? Because now they have to cover down. Someone has to cover down, right? Good defensive team, naturally they'll cover down, and then we get them all watching, right? They are playing this drift pass because we ran it the first time when we played these guys. And then what we did is, okay, we would say we'll throw it back, what we call comeback right there. And, Ronnie Kozak is screening nobody just because, again, they're overplaying this situation, and then we get a wide open three for our best shooter.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions. Kozak there, 30, was ideally going to set a screen on 0 on red, but he was lost. I'm not sure if he was trying to run to stop that corner pass or help down. How are you reading where he was at?
He was trying to cover down. They had the first guy covering down, which is Hayden Hall, number 20.
Yep.
Right. He covered down, and then they're trying. Pretty much, we got them to help the helper, and that's right. What we want, right?
Yep.
We want to get two guys on the ball, and then we want them to help the helper. Okay. And in this situation, Kozak 30 kind of set a blanket screen here. If he would have helped, we would teach our guys to slip to the rim. Anytime the guy that guards the screen or helps, we slip this to the rim. That would have got us the easy 2 points there. But Ryan would have to make that read, though.
Absolutely. And you didn't mention it, but the celebration from you right there when he hits that bucket is a beautiful thing. That's the sign of a coach that sees the play come to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, we knew it. I mean, we saw it coming. We watched a lot of film, and then we knew that they overplay our baseline drives a lot, and then we kind of just threw a wrinkle in there that we're going to do what we call comeback. I mean, the concept is pretty simple, right? You get them to overload one side, and then you get them to help on the ball, and as they rally to the ball, you kind of just pivot back and set a pin screen coming back for a shot. So it's a pretty simple play. The great thing about this setup is that you can do it however you want to do it, right? So for us, we ran this out of a box set, okay, and then we did a little cross screen into a little elevator, right? But really, the elevator screen wasn't even set because we just want to get the ball inbounded right here, and I'm creating complicated. Again, you notice that if they overhelp here, we got our guy popping out to get the release pass. So this setup is pretty simple, right? So here we run an Iverson cut. You can really run a zipper cut here, where you kind of start Ryan on near the block. You kind of dribble over and have Ryan come off that zipper cut, pass it to Ryan, and then have Jonah actually come over the top for the Iverson cut. Or you can do a dribble entry, right? If you start a 1-4 high, Jonah can just dribble over, push Ryan, do a still shallow cut, have him pop back to the top, and then once the ball gets to Ryan and then gets to the wing, you can still have the same type of setup. I mean, so you can do it many different ways, but the concept is a baseline drive, and you either whether you reject a ball screen or not, that really doesn't matter as long as you have a big there to get ready to set a pin screen, set a comeback screen.
Absolutely.
So you can set up however you want to set it up, as long as you understand the concept.
That's a great note. And two things. It's Ryan who catches that pass on the wing, who drives baseline. That's correct?
Correct.
One thing I really appreciate about him that maybe, not your average fan doesn't see is that, I mean, yeah, he's driving baseline to score if he beats his man, of course. And at the same time, if you know that this defense is going to swarm once he hits that baseline, which they did. He got double team once he hit just outside the key there, is he's got to dribble hard and be strong, knowing that when that defense is coming, that he's got to just reverse pivot, reverse and get it back to where he came from. So it's almost like he's driving strong, seemingly intent to score, but really knowing in his head that he's actually opening up a shot for someone else. And if he doesn't drive hard at that baseline, he's not going to create the same amount of space and attention as he would if he just kind of was lackadaisically slowing it to the baseline and then trying to pass it back.
Absolutely. And again, we have to give credit to Antelope Valley too, because they saw this coming before in the first game. We ran the same type of set. And again, they kind of guarded the baseline a little bit. You can see right here. But I want to believe that at our level of communication between our big and our guard in terms of yelling out screen, just to let the defender know that, hey, there's an on-ball screen coming. And then that first hard dribble is that attack dribble.
Yep.
And as soon as he gets to the second dribble, he's already deep in the paint. Not deep paint, but deep towards the baseline. And that kind of created the help situation that we needed in order to have this play work.
Beautiful.
Yeah, as you see, Jonah, 53% from the field, from 3-point line, which is pretty darn good for any college player.
Yeah, that jumper looked pretty cash the second he got into his position, his shooting position.
Yeah. So we run this against new teams. It'll work really well against teams that play us in the past. That's why we got to be a little more creative on how we set things up. We run a lot of side pick and rolls within our offense. So we get this rejection action a lot when our guys drive a baseline. We kind of relocate certain guys, and our guys know where to go and know what the outlets are.
Beautiful. Kevin, thank you so much for sharing that, man. There was a lot of knowledge and just a lot of strategy and thinking into one play. For one 3-point bucket, it was beautiful.
Yeah. So I mean, for first time viewers who want to use this type of setup, I think the baseline drive is I mean, this option right here, you see the San Antonio Spurs runs it, right? They call it hammer. A lot of teams in the NBA runs it now. I saw the Lakers run it the other night. Actually, I think a few nights ago when they were in the bubble, I think I saw the Lakers ran the same exact play, but the idea is the same, right? You drive a baseline, you get the defense to help, and then you set this weak side back screen here or a flare screen, whatever you want to call it. But the idea is you screen the defense and allow your shooters to get open in the weak side corner three. This shot right here, 9 out of 10 times in high school basketball, it'll be open.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard to defend because when you're in the moment, especially if you do it straight out of a live game situation rather than calling a timeout. Sometimes we call this pistol. When we call this pistol, we get into a side pick and roll, and we have our guy reject the ball screen, and we get straight into this action right here. But we're really looking for this corner three, right? So usually if you do it live, teams don't have time to really prepare for it, right? But if you call it out a timeout, coach can say, hey, watch out for the hammer action, watch out for the weak side corner three. It kind of gives the team a heads up before we actually run the play. So I think this will work really well in high school.
100%. Yeah, I mean that drive baseline to the corner three action is probably top 3 most popular play in the NBA. I feel like I see that corner three every 5 to 10 possessions when I watch NBA games now.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, man. Well, thank you.
Just want to use it against us, Gus.
Yeah, no doubt. If you just want to unshare your screen real quick.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So, all right. So, I'm going to bring this up. Love to hear some feedback after this. I don't have a name for this yet. I don't have a name for it yet. So right now we're gonna call this smoke, just in honor of the Bay Area Madness right now. I'm gonna call this smoke. So this is coming in your standard half court set. We're gonna have the 1 up at the top. I want my 4 here on the wing. I'm gonna have my 5 starting here. I'm gonna have my 2 here and my 3 here. And we're just gonna have just a little bit of movement, action, just to get into it, just to kind of keep the defense moving from the jump. So it's just gonna be a 1 with the ball on top. It's gonna pass it here to the 4 on the wing. While that's happening, this 5 is gonna just dive or just cut across here, set up right here, create some space. 3 is gonna set a down screen for the 2 to pop up, just to kind of create some movement on the weak side. So that's just kind of our start. Then as we get into it, once that 4 catches the ball here, it's just going to be a dribble handoff right back to the 1. So we're going to dribble here, hand it off back to the 1. So now we're going to have the 1 here, 5 here, 4 is going to end up on top, actually, 2 here, and then the 3 is going to be here on the corner. So the 5 is going to be maybe just a touch. I have him a little high here. I like him just a touch below the elbow because I really want some space at the elbow and I want some space in the lane for the action that's about to come. So what we got here is I want this entry from the 1 to the 5. All right. Pass is going there. And then I want my 1, my 4, and my 2 to essentially converge right here and give me just a touch above the elbow. And the goal here is just multiple options depending on what the defense is giving us. So essentially we have the 1, the 4, and the 2 all converging here together. And then we have options. Option number 1 could be the 5 of the ball. Option number 1 could be the 1 and the 4 setting a double screen for the 2 who's coming across, and maybe he's flaring out right here for a 3. Option number 2 could be the 1 and the 2 setting the screen here for the 4 to dive. Option number 3 could be even just the 1 reading where the 4 and the 2 defenders are playing, slip it all together, and also maybe the 1 is diving. So the goal here is just the 1, 4, and the 2 reading where the defense is at, whether it be a double screen, a slip, whatever the case may be. We're really down for whatever. If maybe if the situation calls for it, if we're looking for a 3, maybe we're looking more for this double screen for the 2 to come out here. If it's just maybe a 1-point game, we're just looking for something closer to the basket, maybe get a foul as well. Then we're probably going to look for maybe a little pinch, a little screen here for our 4 to dive. Or if our 1 just sees our 4 and our 2 defenders sleeping, they slip that entirely. And so obviously a lot of responsibility here on the 5 to make that right pass. Whether this is a true center or just, another of our 5th player who's playing big at that moment, maybe is a more of a skilled passer. The 5 also needs to read the defense to see, who's going to dive, who's coming across. And then, if all else fails, let's say the defense plays immaculately, perfect, and they're covering this. Maybe they switch this to cover the 2 from here, and they're staying between ball and man on the 1 and the 4 to stop that dive. Then I want my 1 and my 4. If they don't get the ball when they dive, they're clearing out to the weak side, and then I'm gonna let my 5 just go at it from 10 feet away, 1-on-1 with his defender.
Very good. So
for you.
So that's what you call smoke now?
We're calling it smoke. Yeah. We're gonna call it smoke for the day.
Yeah. So we have something very similar to that.
Beautiful.
We call it post spacing.
Okay.
So anytime, whether it doesn't matter what set we run, every time the ball gets to the post, inside the post area, we run what we call post spacing, and that means that our guys will execute certain cuts, right? So like you say, your setup is a DHO from the 4 to the 1, and when the 1 gets the ball in the wing, he throws the ball into the post, right?
Yep.
So in our offense, whoever throws the ball to the post, our 4-man will automatically dive from the top.
Okay. So if the 4-man was up here.
Yep. And then you have your 2 and 3 on the opposite wings, right?
Yep.
Okay. So that's a perfect setup for us, because every time we get the ball to the post, we have what we call strong side high, weak side high, and weak side low, and that's exactly what you have right there with your guards, right? And then we always dive our opposite big down. Now, if we play with 4 perimeter guys, it's slightly a little different. But let's assume we play with double bigs here. We slide our 4-man down, and then the one who threw the ball into the post will come in and set a pin screen at the elbow.
for
right? For the two.
the two coming across.
All the way across. Same thing that you're talking about earlier.
Yep.
And the reason would be if they switch, you slip.
Yep.
Right? And then when they slip to the rim, we kind of get back to our spacing. That's it.
Right.
And then three rotate up, four
Yep.
would be opposite block, and then one would get to the opposite corner. But the five man would have to be able to have skill enough to make the pass out to the two for a shot, or if the one slips it, he makes a nice bounce pass for the slip.
Right.
Or the timing of it got to be perfect because the dive always goes first. So our four man will all go first.
If the four doesn't get the ball off the dive, are they just kind of going here short corner, opposite block, or where are they ending up?
They will be in the short corner. We call that the loaded area.
Gotcha.
Right. The reason why we call it the loaded area is because anytime we get penetration from either our opposite big, or a guard in the paint, he's loading up to catch the bounce pass to score.
Gotcha.
Because the idea is to draw help from him to the man. So we call that the loaded area. So he would dive and get to the loaded area. But the concept is exactly the same. But you actually run it as a particular set called smoke, right? We run it every single time, whether we run any type of action. Anytime the ball gets to the post, we know we're in post spacing. That means that we get to certain spots, we execute certain action out of that.
Love it. Love
so
it.
You can run this cut many different times within the 4 or 5 minute span if we get the ball in the post multiple times, right?
Yep. Yeah, that reminds me of those general rules of like a read and react type of offense where, whether if you pass, you're cutting, or if there's an entry pass, you're cutting. And so you just have that as a blanket rule where if you, for your team is a question, if you enter to your post player and you have your second post player up above the key, then he's diving.
Yeah. If we had 4 perimeter guys, what we would do is we would run what you did earlier. We'll run a stagger.
Yep.
A stagger coming across, and then we'll dive one of our guards, and then we'll space out.
Gotcha.
Right? If we have 4 perimeter guys, especially if you have a good skill post player that can pass and score, it's really difficult to defend. If you watch the Golden State Warriors, they run a lot of this type of action for Thompson and Curry a lot.
100%. 100%.
And they throw the ball to the post. You'll see Thompson or Curry set these pin screens or do these split cuts, and they'll get kind of open threes coming back from their center, right? And they run that a lot. If you watch the Warriors carefully, that concept is in play a lot during the game.
Absolutely. I mean, especially with Draymond often being that passer who just knows how to read the perfect. Is it the dive is the best option, or it's the kick out to the three? I mean, he's making the best the ideal pass 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, it's really hard to defend. Usually when we see that type of action, we have a team in our league that runs very similar action like that. And because we run the same type of action, we learn how we teach our guys how to defend it. So usually we go a lot one-on-one in the post, and then we take those cuts away first, and then we kind of dig in the post to try to get the ball out after they complete their cuts. But our objective is to crowd the posted area where we do go one-on-one in the post, but it make it difficult for that post player to score against a crowded area. And then we kind of try dig off the bounce. Once the post player bounces the ball, then we give our guys the freedom to back tap to go after the ball, because we don't believe that a lot of guys in our league can dribble and pass when they're 6'7", 6'8".
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I like it. I like that concept. We run a lot of that too. And then, we might actually steal that name of play called Smoke and try to throw it in our one of our sets.
That's love. Yeah, with some of our past guests, most notably Chris McSwain, who runs the AAU program in San Jose, we talk a lot about screen the screener action, which is similar to those type of setups. You know what I'm saying? Just a lot of action happening in a small amount of space with a lot of quick decisions. With a lot of back cuts as well.
Yeah, if you want to steal a lot of multiple screening actions, Purdue runs it really well. Matt Painter, coach at Purdue, he runs that really well. There's a lot of stuff online that you can take a look at. For us, we do have a lot of screener actions that we call that leads into ball screen action. Right, our offense is catered around pick and roll a lot. We have a lot of guards that can create off the dribble, and we just put a platform for them to make decisions with the basketball. and we put them in space, allow them to go downhill, create help, either kick out, drop it to the big. But we put them in a lot of situations where they can make a decision on their own while teaching them how to read the defense.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, Kevin, I really appreciate that feedback. To wrap it up, I always like to ask each of our guests just a question about their coaching journey. So I'm interested, you are the first college coach that we've had on this show. And I guess, entering now your sixth season as a coach, I'm interested, what are you, from a coaching perspective, what do you think is the biggest difference or jump in coaching from the high school level to the college level when you observe high school coaches and the high school game? And now, obviously, with your extensive experience at the college level, what do you feel like is the biggest difference or biggest maybe shift that a coach needs to make when they enter that college level?
One thing is you don't have to deal with parents so much. I think when you're at the college ranks, there's less time dealing with parents. But when you jump into recruiting, you obviously got to recruit the parents as well. They're a big foundation of their kids' life, and it's important that they get involved in that process. And we love all of our parents who have blessed us with the opportunity to coach their kids. But I'll say the biggest difference between high school and college is at least from my personal experience. A lot more detail is involved in the college game, especially when we teach defensive concepts within our program. And again, I coached 1 year of high school at a small Christian school in Sacramento. I was the head JV coach at the time for a girls team, and I was the assistant for the varsity team. The level of detail at the time wasn't very focused. Everything was driven by trying to win games, right? And I think in high school basketball, we kind of got away from the idea of teaching the game, teaching the fundamentals, so that when the kids go to college, they are well equipped with those fundamentals. But when I got to the college level, a lot of kids that we also recruit didn't have the fundamentals. So we really had to get down to the nitty-gritty details of things, teach them how to pivot correctly, teach them how to box out correctly, teach them how to pass with two hands, right? So those are the little things that I think is missing in the high school game versus the college game. Because at the college level, every little detail counts, in my personal opinion, right? So defensively, we were second in the nation this year in the NAIA of men's basketball in points allowed per game. So we, out of 234 schools, we're the second in the nation in points allowed. So defensively, we guard the basketball, and we help really well on the defensive end. But again, a lot of it is credit to our ability to hold our guys accountable for the details. And I think in high school, you can get away with just pure talent, right? So I think for high school coaches, if I can go back and coach high school, I would really focus on detailing whether it's offensive skill set or defensive skill set. Spend a lot of time in that area. Yeah, I think that's the biggest difference between college and high school. Again, there's a lot of phenomenal high school coaches as well who teach the game really well, right? Really? And who are probably better than some college coaches, in my personal opinion. It's just that whether they want to, or whether they're granted the opportunity to coach in college, or whether they want to coach in college. But from my personal experience, the detail level, the teaching level is slightly different because of what is emphasized, which is the details of defense and offense.
Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, you've got a lot of people who can make shots at that college level. So those small details, especially on defense, can be a difference between, even if it's difference between being a half a foot closer to a shooter who's about to shoot, that can be the difference between making a miss. So
right.
I appreciate you for valuing those details, and congratulations on having that number 2 defense in the country for NAIA. That's incredible.
Yeah, well, our guys can defend, and that's the staple of our program. Is we spend a lot of times drill. I mean, you hear a lot of coaches when they do clinics, they talk about we do this drill every single day, right? But we literally do closeouts and 2-man shell, 3-man shell, 4-man shell, jump to the ball, and we do those things every single day. I mean, I think you got to build habits. In order to have good habits, you got to do those things consistently.
Absolutely. Wow. Kevin, I'm so grateful you're able to join us this week, and I'm sure that anyone who watched this video learned a bunch just off of your play and your dissection of your play alone. So thank you so much for your knowledge. Thank you for what you do for the game, and good luck. I hope that there's some type of season this coming year, and I wish you all the best.
Yeah, we just got approved for our conference schedule, which starts on January 9th. So we're excited about that. So
Awesome.
Everybody stay safe, and with the coronavirus thing going on, we'll hopefully it dies down a little bit, so we'll be able to coach the sport we love and have our guys play the sport, the game they love.
I love it, man. Well, fingers crossed, and I'm glad the schedule got approved as of now. Have a great season, and keep doing what you're doing.
Appreciate it, Gus. Anytime you need me, let me know.
No doubt. Peace.